Shalom to the elect of Israel. Got to give our praises to YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, RAWCHAA, QADASH. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, who teach well, and a sincere salutation to all the octave, pushing this truth throughout the four winds of the earth, waking up the hope for the elect. Shalom to the YAHAWAH for listening and learning. I'm Isaiah, coming up with another lesson in truth, facts, faith, and edification. And this is a lesson from the elder YAHAWAH from Dallas, who redid a video from what the Apostle Elder Tahar did, titled, "This is what an Edomite really looks like." So just going to play, so this is a beautiful lesson that the elder Apostle Tahar did and that the elder YAHAWAH did from what Apostle Tahar did. So I'm just going to play it because it's great edification. So Lord's willing, let's be edifying.
Who will reign with the Mashiach, all right, who will be his direct, all right, joint heirs, okay, and also Shalom, call hello, Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, QADASH, double honors to the apostles and elders in Great Millstone, peace and salutation to the elect, the tabernacle of David, all right, the 144,000 brothers who will reign with the Mashiach, all right, will be his direct, all right, joint heirs, okay, and also peace and salutation to the rest of the men, women, and children, the rest of the 1/3 remnant whom the Lord has come to deliver. Peace be unto you, all right, because that's all that matters at this point. The rest of Israel are pretty much worthless, and they're in league, whether in contract or in just in deed or spirit, they're in league with the enemy. Okay, either way it goes. Now, I saw this video, which is a beautiful video. You brothers should definitely check this out and reload it. It's called "This Is What an Edomite Really Looks Like." Okay, and it's done by the Apostle Tahar. And who he has on the screen is Antipater the Idumean. Okay, in which these, these people are real people. All right, they have real history. They have manuscripts. And the funny thing about this world is all of these people are accepted, and known. It's knowledgeable that they are true, all right, and real people who actually existed as Alexander the Greek, okay, and the rest of these different Edomites. But they're mentioned in the Bible, okay, a lot of them. And their lineage is mentioned in the Bible. If they're not directly mentioned in the Bible, their lineage is mentioned in the Bible. But the Bible itself has, in the New Testament alone, over 24,000 manuscripts, you see. And it's questionable amongst the masses. But people like Antipater, Alexander, they only have very few manuscripts. They have manuscripts, but it's an overwhelming, all right, when you do manuscript to manuscript, as the Bible is the most, all right, manuscripted and post-manuscripted book ever, okay? And when I said 24,000, that's just the New Testament alone, okay? What about the Old Testament? There's various manuscripts, things that prove the existence of the people we're reading about now. Although we don't need that, it does help strengthen our faith. Now, he has a picture of him up, and Antipater the Idumean, if you don't know, was the father, all right, of the Herodian dynasty, in which Herod the Great, which there were multiple Herods. Okay, you may be reading about one Herod at the time of the Messiah, then you go to Acts and read about Herod. Those are different Herods, but they're all of the same line. That name just continued. Okay, and his father was Antipater the Idumean. Their father was Antipater the Idumean. Now, Idumean is Edomite. You see? And when you go to look up a picture of them, it's clear as day that you Edomites are the so-called white people. You see that? All right, and the same goes for the Greek Empire, because it's funny how you Edomites loved for ages to boast and brag in the Greek, all right, in Roman culture and way of life, saying that the Greeks were the beginning of civilization. The Greeks were the beginning of you Edomites taking over the world with the sword, actually. Okay, and that's all scriptural. Okay, that's why when you read Revelation, the 13th chapter, the beast, all right, started off as a leopard, which when you go to Daniel, the 7th chapter, the Greek Empire is likened unto the leopard, which that started with Alexander the Greek, okay, which he was an Edomite, and he's mentioned by name in the Holy Scriptures, okay? This is First Maccabees 1:1, because it's clear as day that you Edomites, all right, you so-called white people are the Edomites. I mean, even looking at this guy, it looks like one of the Bushes. It looks like George Bush. He looks like your average everyday senator, governor, all right, or so-called white man who walks around in America every day. That's because he is. This is your fathers, man. And see, now the truth is coming out, and you Edomites want to separate from the Greeks and the Romans, because what were the Greeks calling themselves before they called themselves Greeks, which are not the original Greeks? And no so-called white people can ever answer that question, because ultimately you were known by who you were, which is the Idumeans, the Edomites. That's why his name was Antipater the Idumean, because that name was still put on them, okay, at this time. Now, when you go to First Maccabees, okay, and we're going to prove that the Greeks were Edomites. The story of Hanukkah proves, all right, 100%, all right, that the Greeks were the Edomites. All right? So, yeah, okay, you can say the Greeks are the beginning of civilization, but you don't want to take on what else comes with that. You know those are your forefathers, but then when we start to tie it to Esau, Edom, now it's a problem. Now we're hateful. All right? 1 second. All right. So this is First Maccabees 1:1, and it happened that after Alexander, the son of Philip the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Shedem, all right, had smitten Darius the king of the Persians and the Medes, that he reigned in his stead of the first over Greece. Okay, so Philip the Macedonian, all right, let's look him up. Let's look up Philip the Macedonian. All right. Here's one picture of him. Oh, shoot. So lock you clicking too fast, but there you go. Philip of Macedonia was a king of Macedonia, and his father actually conquered that land, but he just forwarded the affliction, because they began to conquer and conquer, just as the scripture said they would do, and they did it by the sword, okay? Because they were blessed with the sword. These are the children of Cain. And if you know anything about the family line of Cain, okay, they were instructors and of making swords. Okay, as a matter of fact, let's substantiate what we say. This is Genesis chapter 4:22, and it says, in Zillah, she bore Tubal-Cain. Now you have to understand that this is a family line, all right, that came through Cain from Adam, just as at the time of Genesis, the 25th chapter, all right, Rebecca was told 2 nations are in thy womb. Okay, 2 nations. Just this same thing happened at the time, all right, of Adam and Eve. They bear Cain and Abel, which were 2 different nations. So this is given the genealogy of Cain, and one of his descendants was Tubal-Cain. Okay, and when you look up the name Tubal-Cain, all right, Tawabal Kayan, okay, and it says, thou will be brought of Cain, okay, meaning he was brought forth of Cain. That's he's a descendant of Cain, okay. And when you read about what he was doing, what did it say? He said, it says, an instructor in every artificer in brass and iron. Okay, now what is an artificer? Okay, that's one that makes weapons and different idols and things, man. All right. It says Harash, okay, metal craftsman, metal craftsman, okay. So they were making weapons, okay. The Israelites, the chosen line, all right. We had no need of that. We were just living off of the earth, all right, and as we were instructed to do. But then through envy of the devil, of course, we took on their ways. But this is his spirit, which when you get Genesis, the 4th chapter, okay, Genesis, the 27th chapter, I mean, when you go to, all right, Esau's blessing, Genesis 27 and 39, and Isaac, all right, his father answered him and said, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, meaning you will gain control of the earth, all right, and of the dew of heaven from above, all right, meaning at one point Esau, Edom will control the whole world. And that blessing is being played out right now. And it started with the Greek Empire. Okay? Which is why I said Revelation, the 13th chapter, starts with the leopard, which in Daniel, the 7th chapter, is the Greek Empire. Okay? And it says, and by thy sword shalt thou live. So he was blessed with a sword, man. All right? And shall serve thy brother. And that happened under David. But that's going to ultimately happen in the kingdom of heaven. All right? But it said what? And it shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion, thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. Okay, so his dominion, when you look up that word, Rawad, it says to wander restlessly. That's basically how his rulership would be. He would go all over the place, conquering the earth. All right, and this happened from at the time of King David. He uprooted from under David, because remember, under David, he was the footstool. But eventually, all right, because what did he say? Over Moab is my washpot, over Edom shall I cast my shoe. That meant that David had his enemies as his footstool. All right, he had them in a position of servitude. Okay, but that's basically Esau's blessing was the sword, which is why when you get, all right, First Maccabees, okay, it says, and it happened that Alexander, the son of Philip the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chittim, all right, had smitten Darius the king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead first over Greece, and made many wars and won many strongholds and slew the kings of the earth. He went throughout the four corners of the earth, all right, although this right here is just a particular part of the earth that they conquered. Eventually they conquered the whole world with the sword, okay? And he went through the ends of the earth and took spoils of many nations, and so much that the earth was quiet before him. There you go. So when you look up Philip of Macedonia, okay, as we did, it's clear to see that he's an Edomite. Okay, he's an Edomite. Okay, this is what a so-called white man looks like. Okay. That's clear as day, a so-called white man. Okay? That's Philip of Macedon. And then let's look up Alexander the Greek. Okay? Let's look up Alexander the Greek. As they call him, the Great. All right? This is clearly a so-called white man. Okay? It's clearly a so-called white man. This is what you so-called white people look like. All right? This is Alexander the Greek. All right? The Great. Okay? There you go. That's that nigga. Okay? But that's clearly a so-called white man. All right? Clear as day that that's a so-called white man. Okay? Now, in the scriptures, as we just read, that it says the son of Philip the Macedonian. Okay, and when you go into the scriptures, how we link this to Esau Edom is that Haman, all right, was also called a Macedonian. Okay? This is First Maccabees 6:2. And that there was in it a very rich temple, wherein the coverings of gold and breastplates and shields, which Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedonian king, who reigned first among the Grecians, all right, had left there. Okay, Philip the Macedonian. Okay, and then when you go into the scriptures, it says that Ammon, which is Haman that you read about in the book of Esther, is also, all right, a Macedonian. Okay, additions to Esther chapter 16 and 10, all right, which this is found in the Apocrypha, because when you read Esther, the book of Esther, it just stops at chapter 10, and it's like no conclusion to the story. You don't really get the full story, but ultimately, you can read the additions to that in the Apocrypha. So the additions to Esther chapter 16 and 10, it says, for Ammon, which is Haman, a Macedonian, all right, the son of Amadatha. Okay, now we go into the scriptures, and it further proves. Okay, it says Esther 3:1. All right, after these, and this is where the story of our holy day Purim comes from. Reading in this chapter, this book, the book of Esther. It says, after these things, that King Ahasuerus promote Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite. Okay. So Haman was a Macedonian, just like Philip was a Macedonian. Who was Philip? The father of Alexander. Okay, and this is just proof that you so-called white people are the Edomites. Something you've been trying to hide from, all right, over the years. But now the man of sin is being revealed, and that's in the scriptures that this would happen. Okay, so Hammedatha was an Agagite. So when you go to this word Agagite, okay, we'll just go to the root word. Okay, it says, I will overtop. That's what the name Agagite means. And who are they ultimately going to try to overtop? Jacob. Because this whole battle goes back to Jacob and Esau, which is, when you read this story, the reason that Agag was so pissed, because he found out the ones who were rebelling against, bowing to him, were Jews, the Israelites. And he knows the history of the friction between, all right, his forefathers and our forefathers, just as they know today. Okay? Agag, okay, it says a king of Amalek. And who are the Amalekites? They're Edomites, man. You see that? They're Edomites. Okay? Let's go ahead and look that up in the scriptures. Internet acting up. Let's go. Let's just type in Amalek. Man. All right. Genesis 36:12. And Timnah was a concubine of Eliphaz, Esau's son, and she bare, all right, Eliphaz, all right, which was a concubine, Amalek. Okay, that bastard, but Amalek, man, so he's a descendant of Esau. So this proves that the Greeks are Edomites, man. And when you read this story, furthermore, okay, and we have and these people are mentioned by name in the scriptures, man. Philip of Macedonia, we looked him up. We looked up Alexander the Greek, but remember, he had 4 generals, man. Okay? Now, when you read this chapter, what happened? The Greeks had begun to sack Jerusalem and force their customs upon them. Now, going to the story of Hanukkah, we'll just read this real quick. Hopefully don't play this damn advertisement, but I'll just go through it briefly. The history of Hanukkah, the events that inspired the Hanukkah holy day took place during a particularly turbulent phase in the Israelites' history. They say Jewish, but we don't subscribe to that. Okay, it says around 200 BC, Judea, also known as the land of Israel, came under the control of Antiochus III. Now, it said the Seleucid king. Now, who's Seleucid? Let's look up Seleucid. Okay, let's look him up. See if we can get some pictures of that guy. Okay, the internet is running slow, so forgive me. But Seleucid, which was one of Alexander's 4 generals. Okay, and we can look them up. But Seleucid. Okay, let's get some images of this guy. All right. Let's see if we can find any. There's a coin on him. It's clearly so-called white people. Clearly, these are you so-called. This is you so-called white people's heritage. This is you. Why you running from who you are? You're an Edomite. Don't you want to know who you really are? Okay? This is love. We're showing you who you really are. We're giving you your history. All right? The Seleucid Empire, man. Bam. Let's see, coin. Seleucid coins. Men from the Seleucid Empire. There you go. So-called white men. Clear as day. This is you guys. And particularly you so-called Jews. All right? And big hook noses. All right? Because you've been fighting to get into the position that you're in since back then. All right? But these are clearly Edomites. Okay, these are Edomite men. Okay, this is the Seleucid Empire. That's just one. We'll look up some more as well in just a minute. It said the Seleucid king. Now, at the time of Antiochus III, the Israelites were able to pretty much practice their customs, man. It wasn't until, all right, Antiochus IV, Epiphanes, that, you know, they pressed the action and actually moved on the Israelites. It was like, hell no. All right, it says the Seleucid king of Syria, who allowed the Jews who lived there to continue practicing their religion. So things were all good for a minute, you know. We were chilling, you know, amongst the Greeks, okay, who had control over Jerusalem, but we were able to do our thing. Sort of like in Judea at the time of the Messiah, the Israelites were able to sort of practice their customs, man. It said his son Antiochus IV, Epiphanes, proved less benevolent. Ancient sources recount that he outlawed the Israelite religion and ordered the Jews to worship Greek gods. All right. Now, this history, we don't need no more of that. This history can be found right here. All right. In First Maccabees. Okay. This history can be found right here in First Maccabees, man. All right. And when you keep reading, now we know it was the Greeks. Let's read verse 10. All right. It says, and there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus. Let's look up Antiochus. See what this guy looks like. Let's look up Antiochus. And he put hell on us, man. The 4th. Oh, boy. What do you know? He's a so-called white man. Clear as day, that's a so-called white man, right? I mean, who else does he look like? This is your forefathers. Why are you running from who you are? This is clearly a so-called white man. It's Mr. Rogers. That ain't a so-called white man? But this is your history. This is your history. So what are you mad at us for? Didn't you say the Greeks were the beginning of civilization? Right? So going back here, First Maccabees 1 and 10, it says, and there came out of them a wicked root. All right? He came out of the Seleucid Empire. All right? Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes. All right? Son of Antiochus the king, who had been a hostage at Rome. All right? Because there were wars going on between all right, the Roman Empire and the Greek Empire, all right. You had infighting, and because it was the Greco-Roman Empire, but they were always at war. Esau has always been at war with himself. It says he reigned in the 130 year of the kingdom of the Greeks. So this persecution started taking place, all right, when they were forcing the Israelites to practice their religion, man. Yeah. Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that they should become one people. We tried to start a one world religion, basically. The same thing that, all right, they're trying to do today in various ways. It says, and everyone should leave his law. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. This is how the Israelites in these different heathen nations became Hellenized. You had Hellenized Jews, but other heathen nations were also Hellenized. Okay, it says, and yea, also many of the Israelites consented to his religion. So being Greek was a religion. Hellenized was a way of life. And sacrifice unto idols and profane the Sabbath. Okay, so clearly it was the Greeks that was doing this, right? So when you go to First Maccabees, the 4th chapter, okay, the victory was won over the Greeks, by a small, all right, commander known as Judah Maccabees and his men. There was a victory gotten, okay, over their army, and you can read the whole story yourself, but First Maccabees 4:61, it says, and they set there a garrison when they rededicated the temple to keep it, and fortified Bethsura to preserve it, that the people might have a defense against Idumea. So it was the Greeks, all right, who was coming against them. But then it says Idumeans. That's who the victory was won against, because they were coming and destroying our temple, man. And you had many Israelite sellouts who consented to their religion, but then you had some of our forefathers, like we're reading about Judah Maccabees and his men, who remained faithful to the covenant, man, and didn't sell out. These are the people who we should be looking up to and teaching our children about, valiant men for the covenant, man. But to defend, it was a defense against Idumea, who was the Greeks at this time, who was coming after the Israelites, man. So you Edomites, you so-called white people, love to boast in the Greek Empire, but then now we're linking that Greek Empire to the Edomites, man. Another thing, that we can go to in this whole topic dealing with the Greeks, Esau, which we've proven it, but beyond a doubt. When you look up the Greek coats of arms, what did they have? They had the eagle, okay? Just like the Romans had the eagle. At the time of Hitler, they used the eagle. The British used the eagle. America used the eagle. The French, the Spanish, all of these different rulerships, they bore the image of the eagle, which was a sign that would be put on Esau, Edom. Now, this is Obadiah 1:4. Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, all right, because the eagle is the highest flying bird. No other bird can fly as high, all right, as the eagle. If they do, all right, they'll suffocate and drop out of the sky if they try to fly as high as the eagle. And though thou set thy nest amongst the stars, thence will I bring thee down. Okay? Now this is Job 20:6. It says, though his excellency mount up to the heavens, and his head reach into the clouds, yet he shall perish like his own dung. They that see him shall say, where is he? All right? This is Job 39:27. Doth the eagle mount up at thy command, and make her nest on high? She dwelleth and abideth on the rock, upon the crag of the rock, and the strong place, all right, which is basically like a defense against, all right, everybody else, all the other species. It says, Jeremiah 49:16, thy terribleness hath deceived thee, the pride of thine heart, O that dwellest in the cleft of the rock, you Edomites, you cavemen, that holdest the height of the hill, though thou shouldest make thy nest as the eagle, I will bring thee down from thence, saith the Lord. Okay? Habakkuk 2:9. Woe to him that coveteth an evil covetous to his house, that he may set his nest on high, that he may be delivered from all the power of evil. Okay? And there you go. There you go. I mean, and there's various more scriptures, but Esau, Edom, has the stigma of the eagle, and the Greeks, as we're looking right here, had the two-headed eagle. Okay? So there's no hiding, man. All right? Clear as day. Okay? So when you go into the scripture, okay, and you read about these particular people, just look them up. Just look them up. Because we know Alexander had 4 generals, okay? Ptolemy. Let's look up Ptolemy. And that's Alexander. Let's look up Ptolemy. Okay? Claudius Ptolemy. There we go. There we go. Well, what do you know? What do you know? This is what an Edomite looks like. That's that nigga. That's Ptolemy. That's Ptolemy, and we've linked you to the Edomites. These are your forefathers. These are Edomites. Okay. I believe we looked up Seleucid. Lysimaeus. Let's look up Lysimaeus. Okay. Which he's mentioned in Second Maccabees as well. All right. Second Maccabees chapter 4 and 29. Now, Menelaus left his brother Lysimaeus in his stead, you know. So there you go. But when you look up Lysimaeus, okay, let's look up his images. Come on, man. Who's that? Who's that nigga, man? That's the Edomite, man. Okay? That's that nigga. All right? That's him. Got that. All right, and then when you go to Philip of Macedonians, I believe this is his father, because when you look up, that's one thing I do, you go to Philip of Macedonia, and then you click on his father. Let's see. His father was a Mentus, okay? And that's him. Edomite, so-called white man, okay? These are Edomites, brothers, okay? They can no longer hide from who they truly are, okay? Let's look that up in the scriptures. This is Jeremiah 49 and 10. But I have made Esau bare. I have uncovered his secret places. He shall not be able to hide himself. Okay? Because that judgment is upon him, is written. Okay? He as the scriptures say in 2 Thessalonians, the 2nd chapter, okay? The end ain't going to come. All right, unless what? 2 Thessalonians 2 and 3. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come. The kingdom ain't going to come. Esau is the end of the world. See that? And Jacob is the beginning of it that followed, man. That day shall not come except there be a falling away first. So we had to fall away. Esau had to come and rule and take over. Okay, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. So the man of sin is being revealed, brothers. You see that? He came into power, and when you read about his rulership, okay, what did it say? Who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God or that is worship, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. He's over in the Middle East. He's over in the land of Israel, over there saying he's the chosen people. You see that? He has the fatness of the earth. Okay, and all he does, when you read the scriptures, okay, Revelation 13 and 6, and he opened his mouth in blasphemy against the Most High, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven. This is why when you read in First Maccabees, the first chapter, when they got rulership through the sword, it says, First Maccabees 1 and 9, and after his death, speaking of Alexander, they all put crowns upon themselves, his 4 generals. So did his sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth. You see that? Evils were multiplied. Lies, deception were multiplied in the earth when you Edomites came into power. And this is Lysimaeus. This is Lysimaeus, man. This is you so-called white people's history, man. Okay? Why are you running from who you are? Don't run from who you really are, man. I thought you were proud about the Greeks. You know, you were proud about the Romans. But now we the men of the Lord, these decrepit, low so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, the Israelites, are bringing this information out. Let's look up Cassander. Let's look up who are Alexander's 4 generals. Let's look that up, because this is in the scriptures. Okay? Seleucid, Cassander, Ptolemy. Let's look up Cassander. And then it's Lysimaeus. There you go, Cassander. And that's clearly a so-called white man. Ugly than the motherfucker, boy. Here you go. So these are Edomites. You know, these are Edomites, man, and you took over the world, man. You know. Oh, I had this. Let me play a little bit of this for y'all. Some history.
5th century in Greece started off with the Persian invasions and ended with the Peloponnesian War. And now
that's all scriptural. When you go into the scriptures, okay, who took down the Persians and the Medes? The Greeks. Daniel, the 7th chapter, speaks on that, man. The Daniel, the 8th chapter, I believe, speaks on Alexander coming and his 4 generals as well. Okay?
we're entering into the 4th century in Greece. And as we enter into the 4th century, Thebes is the dominant city-state. But as we get into the mid-4th century, and especially the end of it, we will see that all of Greece gets dominated and then unified by the Macedonians or the Macedonians. And in particular, the first unifier here was Philip of Macedon. And this is a bust of him. And he's known as he comes to power in 359 BCE. He comes to power. His father was king of Macedon, but then his older brothers die. It's actually his nephew who is heir to the throne. He becomes regent for his infant nephew, which means he has the power temporarily, but then he actually takes full control and becomes king of Macedon, or Macedon as it's often pronounced, in 359 BCE. And what he then goes off about doing is taking over most of the Greek city-states. And eventually he's able to unify most of the Greek city-states. And you can see on this map here, which I got from Wikipedia, this is a little bit of information about the map, you can see how he expanded his empire over time. That, remember, 359 BCE, he becomes king of Macedon. In 352, he's moving into Thessaly. Then in the 340s, he's going into Thrace. So he's going into Thrace and Molossia. And Molossia is interesting. The king of Molossia, he ends up marrying the king of Molossia's daughter, Olympias, who ends up being Alexander the Great's mother. And she's a pretty interesting character, as we will see in a little bit. She was part of this cult that worships snakes. It's believed that she slept with snakes. And he goes off and continues to conquer. Eventually, he's able to subjugate most of the city-states of Greece, except for Sparta. And that takes us to
the Israelites,
right over here.
In Sparta, they had to deal with Jake. But what this guy is saying is all what we're reading about in the scriptures of how you Edomites conquer the world with the sword. You see? And that history is right here in our Bible, man. You know, but when you look up these names and you go into these people, they're Edomites. They're so-called white people, right? But in the Bible, through the Spirit, you know, the Lord has put the Spirit on us to link you Greeks and you Romans to the Edomites, man. You know, that's all we're doing. You know, so with that, I just wanted to do a response. This is Macedonia, which they weren't the original inhabitants of that. They conquered that land, as the scriptures say. All right, in First Maccabees. All right, they took over these particular lands, man. They took spoil of many nations. The earth was quiet among, before them. I mean, they subjugated every goddamn thing with the sword. And to this day, these Edomites are doing the exact same thing. Ruling the world with the sword. Okay? So the people who are in your government, Trump, Bush, all of these people are linked, all right, to these very people that we're reading about. Okay? The Edomites. Shalom.
This is Genesis chapter 36 and Genesis 36 and verse 1. Now these are the generations of Esau, who is Edom. Verse 8. Thus dwelt Esau in Mount Seir. Esau is Edom. All these are the generations of Esau, the father of the Edomites in Mount Seir. So verse 12, I tell you that Amalek, which is the grandson of Esau. So when you read about these Edomites, which is in the book, Who is Esau Edom, by Charles Wiseman. Then you got another book, and it's called The Roman Empire, the Empire of the Edomite, by William Beeston. So, this book, The Roman Empire, the Empire of the Edomite, by William Beeston. And then you have Who is Esau Edom by Charles Wiseman, which I'm going to read from the book, Who is Esau Edom? Now on page 5 in this book, it reads on page 5, this is page 5 of the book of Esau, Who is Esau Edom? The legacy of Esau Edom. It reads, Esau was the firstborn of Isaac, and thus was heir to the birthright, deprived from the direct racial lineage of Adam to Noah to Abraham. Thus Esau was racially an Adamite, a Shemite, and a Hebrew, the racial stock of the white race. Now this is Charles Wiseman, who wrote the book, Who is Esau Edom? Telling you that Esau Edom is the racial stock of the white race. Okay? They shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. Hey, just quick edification about Esau Edom. So Lord's witness to edifying. Got to give our praise to YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, QADASH. The honors to the apostles and elders of great millstone who rule well, who teach well. And a sincere salutation to all the Akim, pushing this truth through the four winds of the earth, waking up the hopeful elect. Shalom to the YAHAWAH for listening and learning. Shalom.